Yo everyone, what up? Welcome back to Top Tier Arcade. My name is Steve, and we're back in the apartment. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Sega Blast City Part 4, which is the memories. Now, we're going to be focusing on Marvel vs. Capcom 2, being that's the theme of the game. So let's get started. So before we get started, you know how it works with my memories videos. We're going to be lighting up a nice cigar. We're going to be reminiscing. That's the reflection stick. We're going to have a nice stiff drink, which is going to be the COURVOISIER VS. And the cigar being smoked today is the Alec Bradley Mundial. Now, this actually my father-in-law gave me for last year. Gave me for Christmas. He actually gave me as a present. Now he understands that I like cigars, and he's starting to be hip to my gifts. So let's start it up and let's cut this. I'm gonna put the cutter. All right, now we're gonna be using the actual Sega ashtray as promised. And that's what it's there for. So we're going to be cutting that. Beautiful. Alright. So, let's light it up. Now this is actually very exciting because I have a lot of fun memories, and they're very recent. 17 years is a long time, but I do really remember where I was and what happened when I played this. It's a narrow tip. Mm-hmm. And now I'll do it. So, cigar's lit. Let me pour myself a drink. And here's my start. Oh yeah. Alright. So let's do this. Cigar's lit, let's get rolling. Everyone watching, cheers guys, thanks for joining me. Oh yeah, butter. Oh yeah. Let's get to it. So, the year's 2000. I just came back from Greece with my younger brother and my parents. And this was in the summer. This was in the summer of 2000. We ended up coming back, and within a month or 2 months, I was going to be starting college for the first time. And it was very exciting because, new chapter in my life, came from Greece, had that influence, and had a great time. So, when we came back, my brother and I, my younger brother and I went to our mall. Now, if you live in the Greater Toronto area, it was in Markham, where I used to live, and my parents still do at the time, or at the moment anyways. So my brother and I, younger brother, always went to the Markville Mall, which is the mall. And if you're local, you'd understand or where that is. And we had a great time. We went to the mall, and there was an arcade there. And when we, went to the mall, to do, shop for school supplies and whatever, we ended up going to the arcade. So when we went there, as soon as you walked in, there was like the new game, which was very evident to a lot of arcades. Like the new game was there, so when people came in, that was the new attraction and the new feature. So George and I busted in, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Now again, we just came from Greece. We're speaking Greek a lot better, speaking to each other. And I said, oh my God, that's a new game. What is that? And I'm like, oh my God, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because they had number 1, the other side of the arcade. And I still remember they had Marvel vs. Capcom 2. On the right, there was Power Stone and all on a duel. They had Marvel vs. Capcom 1. They had Street Fighter Alpha 3, I think, or 2, I think, one or the other. They had hard driving. They had, I think, like a Tetris. I can't remember, but it was pretty unique and a lot of fighting game-esque, which is up our alley. Now, I talk too much. It's going to start going out. So what happens is, we're like, oh my God, now there's 3 or 4 people deep wanting to play it. And it's different because it's in the Dynamo cab, a Showtime Dynamo cab. and it's bigger, big screen, whatever, and like, oh my god, what is that? And there's a couple people playing, and it's getting pretty competitive. And we're seeing these, 3D backgrounds, this, weird jazz music, and, characters that we've never seen before. Like, what the hell is the Shumagoroth we saw? It was like Ruby Heart was new, Cable, which was big because we watched the cartoon and we were big in the comics, and we were really stoked, man. We were getting really excited. So we're watching, playing it, and they're going crazy. It's, new from Japan, or, just brand new, and people are going nuts. I go first, brother's watching. I think now it's a running joke. I only knew what to pick who I know. So I picked Ken, Ryu, Akuma, which is like Shoto's all the way, but that's my Street Fighter gang, so everyone's laughing, saying this team's shit. I didn't know any better. The thing is, with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, there's a punch, like light punch, hard punch, light kick, hard kick, and then the tag buttons, or the assist buttons. So when I was doing, Hadouken motions, or half quarter circle, it was doing that move to knock them off the screen. So I'm like, shit, this is not right. And I didn't know the controls, but I was doing all right. I kind of, got hip to the controls quick. We're, throwing fireballs, but these guys were comboing the shit out of me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? That's so cheap. Grabbing me, boom, calling your guy, triple super. So I got wasted quick. My brother came in, picked Trombone. I remember it was that because he's like, who the hell is that? I think he picked Charlie, and then I think he picked Guile or something like that. Got killed. So we're watching, we're studying, $20 worth in the arcade, just boom, in line, boom, all day. Now, that was before cell phone. Well, cell phones existed, but they, anyone that was 16 didn't have them. Mind you, I was 20. My younger brother was 14, but I didn't have a cell at that time. I didn't get my first cell, I think I was 22. I didn't care till actually I left college, but I know my mom was, probably asking where we were, and we were there for like 3 hours, playing this game like crazy, going nuts. Now what happens is, we were playing, we were doing well, we're talking to the, the manager guy, or like the guy that gave out the quarters, one of the workers, and he said, bad etiquette to light it twice, but I'm talking too much. So the guy working there says, hey, if you guys thought we were good, you guys should go check out Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at the Scarborough Town Center. So if you know Toronto, now it's part of Toronto. Now Scarborough Town Center is, it's a big mall. Sometimes, there's a little risque characters there, I'll be honest. Even if you go now and they're supposed to be dolling it up, it's really not. So we played there. We heard that it goes, yo, there's a better place that has real competition. We ain't shit. If you want to go there, you can check it out. So that mall, the mall that we're close, we used to get practice in. Then we used to go to the other mall where the big competition was to get all the all the experience and see the big, and see the really big players and competitive players. So I remember one time I told my mom we're going to the Markham Mall, which is closer. We went to the Scarborough one because that one's, a little rough, a lot of, inner city kids or whatever, they go there. So it was a little worrisome, but my parents like, just, don't go there, but we went anyways. So what ended up happening is I drove to the mall for the first time, not knowing directions well. We finally got there after half an hour. And what happened was we didn't know where the arcade was in this mall. And we asked around like, hey, where's the arcade? No one really knew. It wasn't until one guy's like, hey, I'm going there myself, follow us, or follow me. I'm like, all right. The arcade was in the actual, in the food court. And it was fucked because you had, in the corner was the big arcade, and then beside it was a KFC. On the left was a Caribbean Queen, like a, Caribbean restaurant, jerk pork, whatever, chicken. And then, when Taco Bell, whatever, all, all this stuff around, Chinese, whatever. And when we went in, we're like, sweet, it's convenient, it's right there, because kids are there with their moms, they're eating, they want to go play, smart. But apparently rent was expensive, and we'll get into that later. And the lineup was like 10 people deep outside the arcade. And me and George were like, what the fuck, why is it so busy? That's crazy. Well, again, same thing. They had Marvel vs. Capcom 2 right at the front. They had Capcom versus SNK 1, I think, or 2000 on the right, which was also new and popular, if I'm not mistaken. Then they had, and then they also had on the right, they had Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Now, remember, this is the year 2000. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike just started coming on the consoles for the Sega Dreamcast, as eventually would Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But it wasn't that popular because Third Strike was dormant. It was just sitting there. No one was playing it. It wasn't until 04 where tournaments came in and, the whole Evo moment happened, where people really did start taking notice and, see the finesse and the genius of her Third Strike and its gameplay. So it was dead. No one was playing it. So George and I were in line. He went to get quarters. I was stood in line, or vice versa. Came back, 10 people deep. He was literally out the door, like you were like standing beside the Taco Bell guy. I was like, "Do you want anything to eat?" I'm like, "No, I'm in line in the arcade." So we're sitting there, and then there's a lot of like, oh shit, people are going crazy. A lot of mixed crowd. There's white kids, black kids, Asian kids, Chinese, whatever, and everything in between, young and old. And we're having a great time. She's like, "Oh my god, we haven't even played yet. It was getting fun." Like the environment was back in the old day. Now, what happened is, I get to the start, or I get to the guy. Now the guy playing has 19 wins in a row. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, oh my god, this guy's that good? I still remember his team to this day, 17 years later. Psylocke, Cable, Magneto. Because they were like the top tier there, no pun intended. They were the guys, that's the dream team. So I picked, learning a little more, playing in the Markham Arcade, I picked Wolverine, Bone Claws, Sabretooth, Wolverine, Sabretooth, and I think still and then still Ryu, because he had the big Hadouken fireball, and I knew it's someone who I wanted to play. So the team's weak. You can do a little damage with combos, but it's not one of the big teams. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. So we're playing. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. But again, guy comes in with Magneto, sends Psylocke. She does like that projectile thing, like whatever. Comes in, I block, overhead, boom, 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 launch, hyper grab, and then does the particle super, like the Tempest, whatever it's called, super, or the kill, hits me with all the things. I land, Psylocke comes in, rolls past me, boom, 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 up. Hit, boom, and then that butterfly super. And then in comes his Cable. Viper Beam, Hyper Viper Beam, Air Viper Beam. I'm getting fucking killed. I'm like, this is stupid. I got maybe one of his guys halfway, because I got, I used, and I still do, Sabretooth's, birdie super, where she calls that chicken in with a machine gun and just blows him. I got him with every hit. And I was doing okay. Now everyone's like, oh, this guy is, he's okay. I lose. Brother comes in, my younger brother. George gets in. He picks, at the time, I think he picked Storm, which back then wasn't top tier. Now she's one of the top. Storm, Iceman, because he had, he just called the big ice thing, and whoever else, I can't remember. Does okay. Remember, he's still 14, he's still younger. Does okay, doesn't do much. Decent showing, back of the line. We're going. So we started to learn about assist. Projectile assists are not always the best thing. Leading people in to get them in supers. You can super your assist person that comes in. How to do double hyper combos, the whole deal. So we started just watching how this game plays and really how people are doing well. Now, the problem is it's getting very competitive. And a lot of people are just going nuts about the whole thing. So, it's the same old thing. We're learning, we're playing, doing a little better each time. And this guy keeps winning. And then I still remember this guy keeps winning. George and I are there. This guy brings in, he was a black dude. He brings in, wearing a puffy jacket, It's hot as hell. I mean, it's in the summer, and I'm just about to start school, so it's warm. It's like near the end of August. He's wearing like a winter jacket. He has his little daughter with him, maybe 2-3 years old, and he's in line with her. I'm thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? You know what I mean? Like, he's watching with his daughter, and his mother comes in, or the mother comes in, takes the child, and he plays this guy. Now, it turns out when we're listening to him, and George, if he's hearing, would remember, this Chinese guy who was like 19 and then like 25-0, we just called him we called him Zombie. I don't know why everybody's like, oh, you lost like a zombie. I'm like, oh, I guess. And he was like the Chinese zombie or whatever. Well, later we found out, I'm like, hey, why do they call him that? I'm thinking because he never sleeps, because he keeps winning, he never dies, which would have been more creative. But the more fuck part is, the reason I actually called him Zombie is because he had like a skin disease or a skin condition where it kind of made his skin like stretchy. Yeah, it was like, or like some really bad acne or whatever. He looked like he was decaying, which is terribly mean. But he's like, yeah, my buddies call me Zombie. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, this fucking zombie guy's killing everyone. Black dude comes in, player 2. Sentinel, before Sentinel was top tier. Remember, this was way before the internet and shitheads like me that are online doing videos. Not at all. No one knew who really top tier was, because every week when we went back, new characters. Remember, we were saying in my review, new characters, new fundamentals, different strategies, different people. You know, who'd think Storm would be top tier, or fucking Sentinel, or Blackheart? Like, come on, these are jobber characters. Not at all. So, well, Howard, he picked Sentinel. I still remember this. He picked Sentinel, Blackheart, and Sentinel, Blackheart. Shit, was it Cable? Yeah, and Cable. Boom. Everyone's like, what? That's a weird combination. What happens? Sentinel sends out his drones. Rocket Punch, Storm with the tornado. Cable, Hyper Viper, Light, and then the whole time, Hyper Punch or Rocket Punch, flying. Rocket Punch, you can't see shit. Rocket Punch, Storm, flying. Ha 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 ha! Throwing all the. This zombie guy doesn't know what the fuck's going on, because he's not used to that competition. I guess no one picked those characters. So this dude's in the air doing all the shit people do now. And then in the meantime, you know, while he's rocket punching, Hyper Beam at the bottom. Ha ha ha! By Storm. Getting him. Killing him. The guy doesn't know what to do. He comes up with Magneto, tries to do the same shit he pulled on me. Boom, boom, boom. Launches him down. Rocket Punch. Or no, sorry, Blackheart. Like with those ghouls. He's throwing that thing. It's going crazy. It's going, and everyone's like, oh shit! Zombie loses his Cyclops, or a Psylocke. Because he tried to do the butterfly super, but it did shit. Drops into a super, boom. Magneto comes in, gets him. He beats his, I think he beat his Blackheart, I can't remember. But the other guy's down, Zombie's down low. Black dude's killing him, boom, boom, boom. Comes in, does a double ultra, kills the guy. Zombie's dead. Everyone's fucking going nuts, like, oh! Like, you know, like, but this is before you really saw it online. So people are getting really freaked out that Zombie lost. He was like 25-0. And this black dude just looking like he's, you know, nice guy, whatever, always said hi, he did the GG, good game. I don't even think it even was started there. You know, they said, hey, what's up, good game. They talked a little. Other guy gets in next. Black dude wipes his ass, kills him. I get up, fuck all. I get killed again. And I still remember, because after 6 wins, Zombie comes back. But again, Zombie's talking to these 2 other Chinese guys that are like talking shit to him, saying, how do you lose against this guy? So he comes back in, aggressive, you can tell. If you ever look at an aggressive fighting game guy, instead of like tapping like this, they start getting passionate. You can see it. He's getting pissed off because the guy keeps doing the same old shit. Zombie tries the same tricks, not working. He's perfecting them. He's getting killed. He doesn't know the ins and outs. His buddies are razzing him and, you know, ribbing him, saying, how can you lose against this guy? Black dude, I still remember, black dude gets pissed off. Run, like the game, he killed Zombie. He runs, grabs his daughter. Because I guess the mother was asking to, like, because the black dude was probably there around 20 minutes already. Maybe even a half an hour. So I guess the baby was crying, so he takes his daughter and he has him in his left hand. And, you know, and it's like this. So obviously he didn't play with her, but he put her beside her and goes, watch. Boom, 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 getting these guys. People are going nuts, because remember, it's loud in there. People are getting excited. You know, people from this food court are now coming in and hearing all this excitement. Like, dude with a taco was sitting there and eating. Like, what the hell's going on? In the meantime, I'm like, fuck it. I'm not playing this game because I'm going to get killed. I'll just watch. And in between rounds, I'll play Third Strike. And so I'm playing Third Strike. George is doing his thing. My brother's playing. He's getting his ass kicked. But he's, you know, we're playing. We get back to it. Big competition again. Everything, you know, this black dude keeps winning. I called my mom because it was getting late, and I knew she was wondering where we were, because how are we there for 4 hours when, like, the mall's down the street from my parents? And they're like, yeah, we just met some friends, we're going to be home soon. We cut it short. I'm like, George, let's go. We had to leave. Next weekend, I told my mom, actually, I want to go to this mall. She drove as well, so I didn't look like, you know, she didn't want us to go to that mall. Mind you, I was 20, shit, I was an adult, but she really was like, no, don't take your brother, I'm worried. I'm like, fine. So we go there again, competition, different guy. You know, I'm starting to do okay. Now, I have at this time started college, and it's my first year, and, you know, I'm trying my best doing my thing, and I'm doing pretty well. And then as the months progress, the game starts coming out on the Dreamcast. Now, I never had a Dreamcast, but one of our close buddies did. And we would go to and play, instead of going to the, you know, the arcade always, we'd go and play Dreamcast around an hour away, because we would practice and whatever else to go back to the arcade. Then our buddies came, friends came, family came, other family members of mine. We would play MVS2 like crazy. We would learn all the combos, whatever. But everybody else was doing the same thing. So we would go back, arcade, we're getting better. I'm starting to win now. My teams change often. Even now, my teams are kind of all over the place. I still like Sabretooth. Sabretooth, I like. Wolverine, not as much. I would say Sabretooth. Jill, I like. I don't know. You know, it goes all over the place. But either way, we'll check next video when I do my gameplay. So this game brought us together like crazy, because we started. Then we eventually got it. You know, the year later or whatever. We got it on PS2. Then we kind of brought it home. We didn't go to the arcade as much because, you know, we had it at home. We had MVS2 parties, and just games overall was PS2, like Dead or Alive and other games like that. I know, like EX, Street Fighter 2 EX. We had a great time, man. Like right now, this game, if any one of my cousins, family, friends came over, everyone would go to, because they know this was our jam. The arcade scene was amazing, because I remember, here's the thing. I remember we're playing it on Dreamcast on my buddy's CRT TV. And then we played it on, you know, my TV or whatever else. And it never looked the same. And I kept wondering, shit, why doesn't it look the same? Because I never knew that these monitors had like a flat tri-sync. Back then, I mean, I wouldn't know what that meant. Like it wasn't until 12, 13 years later when I started collecting my shit. So I never knew, and I kept saying, why doesn't it look as good? Why doesn't it look as vibrant? It doesn't look right. It never did until I finally figured out it's because of the arcade. Played it like crazy, have it on, you know, like got it on PS3, played competitive, did okay, but compared to these guys, running getting my ass kicked. And because a lot of people haven't been over to play with me yet, you know, my skills aren't the greatest. But what an amazing time we had, reminiscing, great characters. You know, eventually MVS3 came out, and then now the Infinite, which looks all right. It wasn't the same feel. Like going to Marvel's Capcom 2, just we would always make fun. Like Mava Baby would sing the song, "Take You for a Ride," like all this. We'd always say it. We had a great time. You know, it pretty much brought us out of the arcade to the home, and then back to the arcade, and then taking that and bringing it to the home console. You know what? This brings back to a lot of memories. You know, there's a lot going on at the time. I started college. You know, I was becoming, you know, a young man. You know, my brother was going in high school. My older brother had his own business. My parents were doing. It was a simpler time. And often when I refer to those days as, you know, the beginning, kind of until, you know, I started dating more frequently, and then I started getting with women more frequently, and then I had, you know, like closer friends and whatever else. So that's where, you know, you became, from adolescence, became the young man, to became, you know, a man. And I just remember, anytime I think of this, I remember before all the stress, before all the women. I mean, not like my wife's the best, but, you know, before any issues with relationships or family issues or big responsibility now with working for a living instead of going to college, you know, to school. figuring out what I want to do as a living in my life, defining who my friends and family are and keeping them close. What a day, man. I think back, that was a great time. Actually, not only that, but it was in 2001, around the same time, when I actually had my first cigar. I had my first cigar after watching Scarface. I think I had the DVD at the time, or I saw it on TV, one or the other. I was watching Scarface. I'm like, yo, I remember this when I was younger. I remember my dad used to say, oh, it's Pacino. I remember having my first cigar. At first, I didn't like it too much because I didn't know what I was doing. But I was talking to like my older cousins or like my mom's cousins that were like, fuller adults. And they would say, no, Steve, you have to do it this way, and you're a little too young still, and it's more for, they called it refined men and people with money. But I used to buy like the cheap Philly blunts, $5-6 for 5. I didn't care. I was working part-time at a fast food joint. I made enough money. I lived at home. I paid for my college all by myself. My car, was very, very strict with my money, and I still am. And I even remember in my parents' basement when my brother and my buddies were home, we ordered pizza, chips, pop, all bullshit, beer, not much so, not really alcohol at the time. Here not that I didn't like it, but I didn't drink it that often. And I had a few cigars, and we were playing this. So later on, when we cut, I'm gonna have a cigar and play just to reminisce. But what a great time. Later on, now that fast forwarding with the Blast City, I remember when I saw my Vuelix, which is right there, and I saw Street Fighter 4 for the first time in my life, and we lost our shit. Down the road, there was Astro Cities, there were Candy Cabs, and this was here. Now, this was running one of the Guilty Gears, but they would change the game often, and this was one of them. So they had this as a setup. I remember seeing this, sitting down and saying, yo, this is so cool, because you can sit down, it's more Japanese-esque. Amazing. What a great cigar, man. I'm not really smoking it properly because I'm talking, but a great reminiscent about a more simple time and a transitional period in my life where, we become young adults, find out what we want to do. And, people even, in their 30s don't even know what they're doing. Now, that's when I was back in my 20s, early 20s. And what a great time it was. It really was. It brings me back. So having this in my collection, let me pause. When I first started drafting top tier, this wasn't on the radar because I never knew about the whole Naomi system. It wasn't until I started, with the Vuelix, and I started looking at other ways, because I didn't like the Dynamo so much. It was so big. And then I figured out, yeah, we can get in this. And once I started learning, and every day I learned more about arcade and pinball stuff, that I knew this was something. And it wasn't until I fell in love with it at Francesco's house almost now about a year and a half ago. About a year and a half ago, where I fell in love with this. And no, about a year ago, where I fell in love with this. And I'm like, one day I'm going to have that. Now, I didn't necessarily want Francesco's. And he's like, oh, Steve, you'll never have it. But, life changes, and I did get it. I'm very proud to have it. Shit. There we go. My apologies. Bad etiquette, but has to be done. Very proud to have it in my collection. It's something that, I treasure, and now it's a staple in my arcade to be. And, I play it often. I do play it probably twice a week for a couple of hours. Vuelix not so much because it's covered a little more with thicker blankets and it's annoying to take off. But you know what, guys? I don't want to ramble. Like I said, from transitioning to arcade, a very simplest time in my life, a transitional time. I started my cigar, my cigar, kind of obsession started, my gaming, and something that, I do cherish cherish my memories. And it's something that I definitely love, and I can't wait till, share with like-minded people that love this stuff and also love the game with family and friends. You know what, guys, I know I'm rambling, but, great, it brings back a lot of memories for me. I don't want to keep it going, but again, console was great. I have it on console. I have it on digital download. Now I have the real arcade. How I played the digital, the disc. I did play it once on my PS2 to try it. It's just not the same. The screen looks different. I've on my flat screen 1080p. It's just not the same. I played on digital download. Yeah, it's cool to go online. It's just not the same. It just really isn't. Nothing beats the controls. Hearing it, living it. It's just, you know, I love it to death, and that's more I can say. Guys, I'm sorry I was rambling, but it's been a pleasure. All the best to you. Have yourself a great summer. I'm going to be back on the next video. I'm going to be actually playing this. We'll play a couple of rounds, play a couple of guys, you know, different guys with teams. And also just go through the entire roster and see what's up and just do some gameplay, hang out and just chill. It's been a pleasure. Thanks again for checking out Top Tier. Peace.